Luton aren't really fancied amongst anyone this season for some reason, but I'm confident they'll finish in the top 6 again.
Obviously, 7 of the last 9 seasons have been fighting relegation, so this might be the season that they finally succumb to really bad ownership.
If he sticks around with Watford, just imagine what he can do in the Championship next season.
Going from the likes of Stel Solbakken as manager at that point to Dean Saunders is quite a drop-off in managerial talent as well. So, yeah, got to throw Wolves into the mix. They were a catastrophe that year.
My promotion guarantee is Middlesbrough. There's one reason in particular for that. Chris Wilder, best manager in the division.
I think they could surprise a few. Maybe a playoff push. I don't know. That might be a bit too far, but certainly we'll raise a few eyebrows.
Justin Peach continues to get on his high horse about Bristol City, which he's been on that horse for quite some time, ladies and gentlemen. It was a disastrous season, a disastrous summer, which has ultimately crippled them for the seasons afterwards. And that's the main reason why Stoke are ultimately a mid-table Championship side now. Hello and welcome back to Season 2 of the Stopwatch. For some reason, the guys at FansBet thought it was a good idea to renew us for another season, Justin. We must be doing something right, but I don't know what that is. But we're back for another season of the topical Championship show with a little twist. The new Championship season is just around the corner and I cannot bloody wait. As always, it's 5 topics, a 2-minute timer and 2 hosts with Ryan and Justin from the Second Tier podcast. Let's get right into it. Justin, who's your promotion guarantee for the new season?
I'm going straight in. I'm going to say Sheffield United. And the reason why is because if I look at their squad as of now, it's the most complete. They don't have to add too much for them to be in that or hit that gear of being a promotion candidate. If you look at the forwards, Ryan Booster, Ollie McBurney, Billy Sharp, really good selection of forwards, and there's Daniel Jefferson as well. Creativity, they still got it in the wide areas, obviously with the wing backs, and then you add in the likes of Tommy Doyle, Sander Berge. There's enough in that midfield, and then defensively they've got arguably the best sort of defensive personnel in the league, best selection of defensive personnel in the league. Centre halves, they're fully packed out, and the squad depth is there, which is something that was missing last season. Goalkeeper as well, Wes Foderingham, one of the best goalkeepers in the league last season, especially statistically. And with the amount of games he played as well. So, yeah, it's got to be Sheffield United for me. And Paul Heckingbottom, very underrated manager in this league.
Yeah, I really like Sheffield United. I think they'll be really strong this season. My promotion guarantee is Middlesbrough. There's one reason in particular for that. Chris Wilder, best manager in the division, quite easily for me. But the squad was already quite strong. They just needed a few names added in there, and they've done that over the summer. They brought in Ryan Giles, who was one of the top chance creators in the division last season. He comes in at left wing back. Daryl Lenihan's been one of the most solid defenders in the division. He's coming at the back. Zach Stefan has come in to ease their goalkeeping woes, which was a massive problem for them last season. The only thing that needs sorting out is the striker position. They've been linked with Rodrigo Muniz from Fulham, who I think would be a really, really good signing. Even if they don't get him, they've got a couple of other names lined up, according to Chris Wilder. So they just need to sort out that striker position. And without a shadow of a doubt, Middlesbrough will be in the conversation for the top 2 this season. I have no doubt about that, Justin.
Yep, completely agree with you. Relegation guarantee? Who's that?
My relegation guarantee is Rotherham, which is quite unfortunate, really, because I was really looking forward to seeing how Rotherham would do this season. I really like Paul Warne as a manager, but the fact of the matter is, he's been relegated with Rotherham 3 seasons on the trot now, 3 championship seasons on the trot now. And I just cannot see that changing. They've had a pretty disastrous summer, really. They've lost their best defender in Michael Ahikwe and captain as well. Michael Smith's gone, who was their top goal scorer last season. They've replaced Smith with Eves and Washington, neither of whom have really ever had a good goal scoring season at this level. And then defensively, they brought in a couple of new lads, but neither of them have played at this level prior to this. So I'm struggling to see them score enough goals, certainly. Defensively, they were very good in League One last season, so they'll have to rely on that again for them to have any chance of staying up. But I just cannot see them scoring enough goals to stay up, and I just think they're unfortunately lacking enough quality to have a decent go of staying up, Justin.
Well, I think Birmingham City are in a worse position than Rotherham. Obviously, squad-wise, they're not in the best shape at all. So I don't think Rotherham are as much of a guarantee, as I say, as Birmingham City. And just going on to Birmingham City, there's a lot of issues that need to be sorted out, that needed to be sorted out months ago. Obviously, John Eustace came in quite late in pre-season. took over from Lee Bowyer. The timing was very strange. Obviously, that was linked with the previous takeover. There's a new takeover happening, which is yet to go through. If that goes through before the transfer window ends, then things might look a little bit rosier because they need to bring in players because the squad is bare. You look at the squad balance and the age gaps. There's not many players in their peak. A lot of players at towards the end of their career, and a lot of players just coming into their careers as well. A lot of youngsters. Not a very nice balance, especially at championship level. So there's a lot there that isn't ideal. That isn't a good circumstance for Birmingham City. And obviously, 7 of the last 9 seasons have been fighting relegation. So this might be the season that they finally succumb to really bad ownership.
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty on and off the pitch, isn't there? Justin, which club or player do you think will be the biggest surprise for you this season?
I'm going to go with Bristol City. I'm going to go with the club. And I've really liked their recruitment this summer. I really rate the signings that they've made. Mark Sykes adds a creative, composed element into that midfield. Cal Naismith, arguably the best centre half last season in the Championship, and they picked him up on a free transfer. That's already adding to the mix of Semenyo, Vyman, and Martin. The best sort of attacking trio, probably aside from Harry Wilson, Cabano, and Mitrovic from last season. So there's a really good group of players there, and Kane Wilson coming in at right wing back, I think, adds a massive amount of balance to that team because that means Alex Scott, who I think is going to be a breakout star this season in the Championship, that means he can come in central midfield. So there's a lot to like about Bristol City. Maybe squad depth is an issue, but actually they've strengthened really well this summer. So I think they could surprise a few. Maybe a playoff push. I don't know. That might be a bit too far, but certainly we'll raise a few eyebrows.
Justin Peach continues to get on his high horse about Bristol City, which he's been on that horse for quite some time, ladies and gentlemen. I think the biggest surprise package this season will be Luton Town. Now, many people may not consider Luton as a surprise package, considering they're in the playoffs last season, but you only have to look at other people's league table predictions and the bookies' odds to see that Luton aren't really fancied amongst anyone this season for some reason. But I'm confident they'll finish in the top 6 again. You look at the progression that Nathan Jones has had there over the time he's been there. They've only had the one season where they've regressed in terms of table positioning compared to the season before. And considering they finished 6th last season, I can definitely see them doing it again this season. In terms of their squad, I don't think they're weaker. Sure, they've lost Cal Naismith, but I think one of the lads they've already got there, such as Reece Burke or Tom Lockyer, can definitely step up in his place. And then going forwards, they've signed Corley Wodrow and Carlton Morris, 2 players who I rate. And I think will only add to the firepower that Luton have already got. So the squad was already good. It's only got better. And they've got a really, really, really good manager in Nathan Jones, who I think could surprise a few people and maybe even see them challenge for the top 2 this season. Justin, what's next topic?
Golden Boot prediction, always an interesting debate.
Always an interesting one. Mine depends on whether he's staying or not. I've gone for Emmanuel Dennis at Watford. Now, this guy got double digits in the Premier League last season. If he sticks around with Watford, just imagine what he can do in the Championship next season. You'd imagine he'd get at least 20 goals in a side that's given him plenty of chances. He was brilliant in the Premier League. That's the reason why he's been attracted so much interest from Premier League sides. I know Everton have been strongly linked with him, although Everton have been linked with everyone. So you'd have thought Emmanuel Dennis, given the quality that he showed last season, the goal scoring instinct that he showed last season, his physicality would suit him really well in the Championship. And he should easily get 20 goals if he's still in the Championship next season. But that's a big if right now, unfortunately. Justin, who have you got?
I've gone with Joel Pirro. It seems a bit easy given his stats last season, 22 league goals. That's a very good return for a player, not only playing in his first full season or first season in the Championship, but also when you consider the likes of Mitrovic, Solanke, both hit an obscene amount of goals. Joel Pirro would have certainly been up there had they not been in a division for the Golden Boot last season. But this season, I can see him replicating his form. He's a player who what he showed last season was his goal conversion, his ability to pick up spaces inside and outside the box and find the goal or find the back of the net was absolutely incredible. Efficiency doesn't even cover it. It's just whether or not Swansea can put him in those positions again. They're my only doubts whether or not he can. But as a player and his ability, he certainly has to be considered for the Golden Boot because of, as I say, his ability to shoot and score with his first touch. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, wonderful player. Absolutely wonderful player. There's a reason he's being linked with plenty of Premier League clubs, Justin, because he has got an unbelievable right foot on him and left foot for that matter, actually. He's both footed, isn't he? And finally, Justin, second tier retro time. This is always my favourite part of the show. I'm very, very thankful that it's back for the new season. It's where we look back on the best of, or the worst of the second tier from the past few seasons. And the question is this week, Justin, who is the most underwhelming underachievers after the pre-season hopes? Who have you gone for?
Yeah, I've gone with Wolves from the year 2012-2013 season. And
sorry, producer Charlie.
exactly. It was an easy one. Home run for me. And the reason why is because coming down from the Premier League, they had such a good squad. Just looking at the squad now, I had the likes of David Edwards, who was in his prime at that point, Carl Henry, Sylvania Banks-Blake. It was packed full of talent, and they were relegated to League One. So even if you didn't consider them to be a promotion challenger that season, for a team coming straight down from the Premier League, going straight down into League One is, well, I would say unheard of, but it isn't in recent years. But as I say, and going from the likes of Stal Solback and as manager at that point to Dean Saunders is quite a drop off in managerial talent as well. So yeah, got to throw Wolves into the mix. They were a catastrophe that year.
Yeah, without a doubt, they were a catastrophe. I'll talk to you about another catastrophe just in that Stoke City from 2018-19. I think just about everyone had Stoke to get promoted this season in their pre-season predictions, just because they had such a ridiculously strong squad that they spent a hell of a lot of money on. They had the likes of Benica Fobe, who they spent £12 million on, Tom Ince, who they spent £10 million on, James McLean, £5 million, Peter Atebo, £6 million, Sam Clucas, £6 million. All these players they spent millions on, and there's plenty more, ladies and gentlemen. I've not even gone through the rest of the players that they spent a lot of money on, and it just completely fell on its face. They finished 16th that season. They also went out their way to get Gary Rowett in, and that just didn't work at all. The whole thing was just an absolute shambles, where they spent all this money on all these big players, and they're still recovering from it now. They've only just got rid of Benica Fobe, who has just been, soaking up wages in that time. And there've been plenty of other players who they've been trying to get off the wage bill for years after this season and just hadn't gotten over it. So it was a disastrous season, a disastrous summer, which has ultimately crippled them for the seasons afterwards. And that's the main reason why Stoke are ultimately a mid-table championship side now, Justin.
Yep, absolutely spot on. Just the talent there. Peter Atebo is another one who's still on the books at Stoke now. It is a hangover to tip all hangovers over the edge. It is incredible.
Yeah, it truly is. And that wraps it up for the first episode of season 2 of the Stopwatch. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back and better than ever. And we hope you've enjoyed, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below, particularly your promotion guarantees, ladies and gentlemen. We always want to know who you guys have got to go up this season. This has been the Second Tier Podcast on the Stopwatch. You can find us on Twitter at Second Tier Pod. And as always, thank you for watching.